Before you keep scrolling, what would you do if you found 3 wild wolf puppies, alone and dying in the snow, and the only one willing to save them was a dog? The Carpathian Mountains of Eastern Europe hold secrets that most humans will never witness. Ancient forests stretch for hundreds of miles where timber wolves roam territories their ancestors have held for thousands of years. Winters here are not kind. Temperatures plunge to -20 degrees, snow buries everything, and in this frozen, unforgiving wilderness, 3 tiny heartbeats were fading fast beneath a collapsed den. Their mother had not returned for 2 days. A ranger named Bogdan was patrolling a trail he had walked 100 times when his border collie, Norah, suddenly stopped. Norah was 7 years old, a working dog through and through, black and white with a low center of gravity and eyes that always seemed to know something you didn't. She had been Bogdan's partner for 5 years. He trusted her instincts more than his own. She left the trail. Bogdan called her back. She ignored him, pushing through a dense curtain of pine branches, disappearing into the white silence. He followed, cursing under his breath, boots punching through knee-deep snow. What he found when he caught up to her stopped his heart. Norah had her nose deep in a shallow depression at the base of a fallen oak. She pulled back, and there they were, 3 wolf pups, no older than 4 weeks, tangled together like a single trembling creature. Their eyes were barely open, their coats were damp, their whimpers were barely louder than the wind. Bogdan knew what the protocol said. Do not interfere. Leave wild animals to nature. Report the location and let wildlife authorities decide. He reached for his radio, and then Norah lay down next to them. She simply curled her body around all 3 of them, ears flat, eyes soft, and pulled them into her warmth. One of the pups, the smallest one, pushed its tiny nose into her belly and went still. The other 2 pressed close behind it. Their trembling slowed. Bogdan stood in the snow for a long moment. Then he put the radio back in his pocket. Getting the pups back to the ranger station was not easy. Bogdan carried all 3 against his chest, his coat wrapped around them, while Norah walked so close to his legs she nearly tripped him twice. She was watching. She was counting. Every few minutes she would stand on her hind legs and press her nose to the bundle in his arms, checking, making sure. The first night was the hardest. 2 of the pups fed eagerly from the bottle Bogdan prepared. The third, the smallest one, would not latch. Bogdan sat on the floor of the station until midnight, trying every angle, every technique. Norah sat across from him and watched, with an intensity that made him feel judged. At some point, exhausted, he set the small pup down beside Norah and fell asleep in his chair. He woke up to silence. The pup was alive, curled under Norah's chin, rising and falling with her breath. Whatever she had done, it had worked. The weeks that followed were unlike anything that station had ever seen. Norah treated those wolf pups like they were their own. She cleaned them, she pinned them gently when they wrestled too hard, she let them chew her ears and pull her tail with tiny needle teeth. She taught them to follow, to wait, to stay close. She was patient in a way that seemed almost impossible for an animal whose entire breed history was about moving and working and never stopping. But the wolves grew fast, faster than anyone expected. By 3 months, they were charging through the station, scattering paperwork and knocking over equipment. By 5 months, they were big enough to push Norah off her own bed. She let them. By 7 months, the largest of the 3 could place his paws on Bogdan's shoulders and look him in the eyes. And Norah still mothered them, still groomed them, still settled disputes with a single low sound from the back of her throat that made all 3 freeze instantly. Wildlife authorities arrived when the pups were 8 months old. They had to be relocated to a protected reserve. It was the right decision. Everyone knew it. The wolves were wild animals, and the mountains needed them back. But the morning they came to collect them, Norah stood at the door of the transport crate and would not move. Not aggressively. She wasn't growling or snapping. She was just there, solid and still, her eyes moving from each wolf pup to Bogdan and back again, as if she was asking him to explain.
He knelt down beside her and held her face in both hands. She exhaled slowly. Then she stepped aside. The 3 wolves were taken to the Carpathian Reserve, tracked, monitored, thriving. 18 months later, a research team observing wolf movement near the reserve's southern boundary caught something extraordinary on a trail camera. 3 large wolves moving together through deep forest paused at the edge of a clearing. In the clearing stood Bogdan, and walking beside him, a now graying border collie named Norah. The footage shows the largest wolf stepping forward, then the second, then the third. They moved slowly, heads low, tails in a neutral carry, not threatening, something closer to reverent. Norah walked out to meet them without a single moment of hesitation. She stood in the middle of 3 wolves who could have crushed her without effort, and she touched her nose to each of theirs in turn. The largest one lowered his entire front end to the ground in front of her, head down, eyes up, a posture wolves use for one thing: submission to someone they love. The researchers watching the footage said very little. One of them, a woman who had spent 20 years in the field, simply said, "She raised them right." Norah passed away the following spring, quietly, in the ranger station where it all began. She was 9 years old. In a reserve deep in the Carpathian Mountains, 3 wolves still patrol their territory together. The smallest one, the one who almost didn't make it, leads the pack. Some bonds don't care what species you are. If this story moved you, give it a like and subscribe so stories like this one keep finding their way to you. There are more of them out there than you think.